Gen.G will pay the Ahri tax as the Senna is locked in once again for Gen.G.
I am more okay with it than it was in game number 1 because the Ahri is gone. I think in particular, the Senna and the Nautilus lane didn't really end up panning out. We'll see if they want to swap away, go maybe towards the Kensho, though. I feel like that combo wasn't the problem, and it's important to note that come mid-game, Gen.G was in a fine position. It was the execution on the team fights that didn't really deliver, and I'm hoping that Chovy in particular gets something that he looks more comfortable on, as we do again get this Ashe Kalista combo, which was instrumental in getting BLG that win.
I mean, they're going to go for Ksante or Twisted Fate, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're scared to go for the TF this time around because the Jax is still available. So instead, they're going to go for more frontline with the Ksante. I think Ksante is great into champions like Kalista, just because I think that, especially with the Lethality Kalista, you really do struggle if the Ksante gets ahead to break down that wall. But I'm curious as to what direction Knight now goes with his pool. Do they even want to prioritize that? Do they want to actually get something for Bin in the top side of the map, or do they just want to lock in? I was going to say something safe like the Sejuani again, and they're going to do that. We already saw how effective Ashe Sejuani as a duo is so good at chasing you down in the extended fight.
Still a really strong combo. The one big difference is that this time, if Gen.G is in a 5v5 situation, they have someone who can tank. We saw in the last game, Lehends, I don't think having the best performance on the Nautilus, one of the big advantages of farming Nautilus is that he's an actual tank, actual frontline that can take a big beating. That wasn't really the case, but with Ksante there, at least in a 5v5 setting, there is an easier way than just dodging the arrows. In particular for Chovy, on an immobile mate, that was a really big problem. This time around should be a little bit easier, as again, more mid-lane bans.
Yeah, I was about to say, there are 6 mid-lane bans this game, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Of course, Knight versus Chovy, their pools will be tested, naturally, while Knight did get the advantage. As more bans come through, I'm going to remind you back to the stat that Drakos gave us earlier. When we look at the control mages that Knight has played in this tournament, Azir, Orianna, Corki, all losses for him. So, which direction will he go as the pool continues to get narrower? What will the priority be for both mid laners here?
I imagine that means that BLG might want to pick up the Orianna on 4 here, deny it to Chovy, even though he didn't have the best of games. Still a lot of team fighting power in that pick. Certainly. Is Gen.G going to ban it away or not?
It's a very good question. Or do they want to leverage another topside ban to set Kiin more up for success? Renekton going to be the takeaway here. Bin, I think, one of the only players of the tournament to opt for that particular matchup over something like a Vayne. Obviously, Vayne taken away in this game.
Could it be a Nico, maybe? Or maybe just, okay, he's going to go for the Orianna.
Yeah. And this is really a full court press in draft to try to limit Chovy's impact on the game. A lot of Chovy bans in the previous one, most certainly, but now taking away the pick that he used in game 1. And already a decent delivery system on the side of BLG in the form of Sejuani for that Orianna ultimate.
It's also, again, a lot of team fighting power for BLG. In the last game, it wasn't about the early aggression, even though we did see the trademark, as we all know, Chovy loves his Yone!
Oh, yes!
Game 1,
yes!
He didn't deliver, and game 2, he says, guys, it's okay, I got this. As, oh my God! Okay, game 1,
What?
Game 1 was a bit of a test.
Look,
game 2, they are throwing down.
I've watched enough Dragon Ball Z to know when a man is saying, this isn't my final form. And this is that moment for Chovy and Gen.G. This is a volatile draft, no doubt.
Oh my
But a powerful one. A lot of setup, a lot of CC, the poke coming in from Canyon. Bin responding with his Jax. We got signature picks abound. And I think this one might be a bit bloodier, gentlemen.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I get excited about Yone and Nidalee, but I have to ask, like, does it make sense?
Is it good?
Is it good?
Or you could forget your job as a color caster, as an analyst, and you could live in the moment of joy we've been presented.
The advantage we have is that we've seen Canyon at this tournament with the Nidalee. And he started that game off with a not great performance, and then he bounced back to perfection. It's particularly against Sejuani, you have, in that composition, they had a lot of poke, like a lot of poke, right? They had, I believe it was Lethality Kalista, they had Corki, they had Nidalee, so they drafted like heavy poke, leverage range, played very patiently. This time around, you've got a bit more dive with Yone and Ksante looking to try and get in. You've got the front line of a Nautilus, and I think that in an extended fight, the advantage of Nidalee is the fact that you have that consistent poke at your disposal, but I will say the setup is quite different to when we saw the last time Canyon brought it out.
For Chovy, Some of the greatest games of League of Legends I have ever seen. The Chovy meme came from him 1v9ing on this specific champion. Game 1, wasn't able to actually execute. I'm not
really no.
okay?
You committed.
I tried to commit.
No, I respect the commitment. I don't think people would have understand. Otherwise, you're just saying his name. But we'll see if Chovy
Thank you, Drakos.
can carry this one.
You know what's going to happen now, just so that we're clear.
Every time that he...
If he makes a play,
all right, I'll commit.
Look, we're all committed. We're not Korean, but we can try,
We're
gentlemen.
doing it. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then yell his name very loud.
If you're at home, please participate.
It's also with a B. It's not a V. Very important
got
for
it.
authenticity. Also, VEdius and I, we were wrecking our brains in the last game. Was Lehends going for a specific strategy? We now have confirmation. No, he just made a big mistake.
It's the worst feeling as a caster when you see something that you're pretty sure is wrong, but you're like, am I the wrong? Or like, what is going on here? And so, thanks for a bit of validation, Lehends. we were not in the wrong. You just made a mistake in the previous game, and that's fine. We move on. Here in game 2, we restart, and we have the joy of getting to see Bin on his Jax, Chovy on his Yone, Canyon on the Nidalee. A lot of exciting times ahead.
So talk about this Yone. In the 1v1, obviously into the Talia, going to be insanely tough to reliably deal with, particularly once you get to the mid to late stage of the game. The Jax, though, I really like it because it's both decent into Ksante, can actually pressure him, and obviously has a lot of pressure when we get later in the game. Is Chovy using his fleet on the Raptors?
That's super cool. Sorry, you're making a great point, Cronicler.
I get it.
It's super cool to. He knows that he's getting bullied in the early laning phase, and so he's just leveraging the Q3 to be able to hit onto the Raptors to be able to get some of that HP back.
And I love the split lane camera, but you can see that particular perspective on your right at the moment seems to be favoring BLG as they fight for push here on the bottom side. We didn't get the first few levels of lane in game 1. There was a swap, so this time around we get to see the full power of both these 2v2s going toe-to-toe. Although not a Hail of Blades angle from Elk this time around is going, attack speed is going on hit for the Kalista instead.
I mean, I like this much more when playing into a Ksante. We already talked about how the front line is that much different for Gen.G this time around. Canyon going to be spotted out. One of the big strengths of Nidalee is, of course, her clear speed. You can see she has a bit of an advantage over Jun for the time being. But not much pressure to play around. So we look at the minimap. We saw the split cam earlier. Push across the board for Jun. And he's going to try and leverage that. He's making his way into the jungle. Let's see if he can do something cheeky here with Canyon's red.
Oh, the ward.
Nice ward to spot. Spear for a bit of poke, passive from Jun there.
Here.
Wants to steal this one away. Q forward, Arctic Assault, marking up Canyon. And he's on the way. That is going to be red buff taken by Jun, slowing down the Nidalee, crucially.
Just really well played. Chovy getting very low. Another nice trade from Knight, leveraging the strength of Orianna in the early laning phase. Going to be forced to use that pot at last.
First couple of levels, the big thing, because post 6, all of a sudden stepping up becomes much more dangerous. So Knight trying to put as much damage on Chovy, trying to make sure he gets low as on.
Man on, caught out now. Canyon immediately ready to punish. First blood for the side of Gen.G.
Nice pick there from Gen.G. On's aggression has allowed Jun to move into the enemy jungle and steal some of those camps away. Canyon going to be able to secure the Scuttle Crab in exchange. Maybe he can actually make his way towards the top river. Yeah, and be able to secure both of them. Knight with a nice sidestep there is Canyon. He's not done with his aggression. Pushes Knight back.
Push back from Kiin, good. Counter-Strike not quite gonna hit. Nor is the Q3 from the Ksante. And important to note, AP junglers, that first recall, if they have a gold influx at all, any additional gold, they get a good first buy. That spear clear speed increases exponentially.
Another big thing with Nidalee specifically, and this was a big issue in the last game when we saw it from Canyon, was that you need setups. Chovy!
Q healing doesn't look like it connects.
That heal, I'm pretty sure, missed. But hey, Chovy,
it's fine.
Understanding his limits, Lehends. I think you've overstepped here.
Jun now walking up, hitting him with the Blitzcrank, question mark. Lehends, this is not your bot lane, but that sure as hell is the enemy jungler. Lehends getting knocked down.
Well, Lehends, especially with Peyz showing in mid, you can't afford to just be up that far. Canyon, seeing Shun, is going to try and take as many camps as he can. The BLG strike back.
I mean, I think that just came from a poor wave state in bot. He was trying to get the push in, trying to fix it for his team. So if we could have seen how the early waves did, like, I question if that was even his fault, because if they'd abandoned it, it could have been even worse in the later stages. But the consequences for BLG of that play is, look at Canyon. He is just tearing apart that topside jungle. He has stolen away all those camps. You can see the advantage he's starting to gain. It's good that Shun gets a kill to keep the gold relatively even, but we know what Canyon can do when he's on a farming jungler.
Chovy now level 6. One of the big things, as we were interrupted by Lehends getting taken down there, is the fact that you have set up in every single lane for this Nidalee. There is CC everywhere, obviously. The top lane can be a little bit hard to reliably land it, but there's the knockups from both the Ksante and the Yone, and then the CC from Lehends as well. Chovy stepping far forward. Shun has been an early game menace, looking for maybe a play here towards the mid lane as well.
Good movement from Chovy, wandering up towards the top side of the lane, had Q3 available to escape as well as the ulti and flash. Now that he's survived and gotten that first back, obviously much more comfortable in the lane with the refillable, with the additional levels.
BLG and Gen.G find themselves pretty even in terms of gold. Drag going to be started off by BLG as information is garnered, thanks to the little bat, I would say, from on that skin.
Little dragon?
Maybe a dragon?
It could be a dragon too. Canyon, I think he's going to know and immediately heads towards the grubs. I like this adaptation from Canyon, knowing that this is the best window for him to take advantage of this. Kiin also feeling very safe to proxy with the information garnered.
As long as Kiin is aware of where Shun is, he can move forward on the Ksante. Possible dive angle though, because they surely also must know. We saw this workout in the last game. Gonna try it here again.
Peyz stepping very far back. Shun, do they really want to try this dive onto the Nautilus? Good heads-up movement from Peyz to just back away. If you want to dive Lehends, he will be there to cover. He has the cleanse for himself, and much more discipline, adaptation from the Game 1 dive.
Nicely done, because Lehends can proc his Aftershock and then becomes a much harder dive target compared to Peyz in the previous game, especially without the flash. Not gonna be the case. So take a look at the play that happened earlier. Flashes were being traded. Does mean that Knight in particular, ults being traded. Thank you very much, Vedi. As a result, particularly Knight can step up a little bit safer, knowing that Chovy can only CC him with the Q3.
Level 6 for Canyon. That top side of the jungle really has belonged to him. His smite on cooldown should.
Walking up, level 6. There for Canyon, not there for Shun, so won't really have the tools to follow up, and you can see this Nidalee is just such a nightmare for Shun, taking away those topside camps on cooldown. BLG, though, still with advantage on the bottom side of the map, unsurprisingly. Lehends hook going to go straight into the minion. Gen.G just doing the best that they can to clear the wave to stop any additional plates from going over to the BLG bottom lane.
Level 6 for Elk means that trading back is only going to be harder right now for Peyz and Lehends. They're forced to play defensively. Some really nice trading is coming out from Kiin. I would say the early laning phase is going in favor of Bin, but that's slowly starting to swing in the favor of Kiin. Shun now, level 6, sets his sights on the top lane.
Kiin gets the wave in, knows this is happening as well. They might be posturing a little bit, pretending that Canyon is in the area, but also Ksante, so much innate safety.
On 2v2. Up. Hook out from Lehends, the slow from Ashe, so frustrating to play against as Peyz tries to fire back. Again, damage is going to stick at this point. There's no pots available for Lehends, so can't afford to lose too many more trades.
Does have his teleport available. Big thing there is that engaging on Anu who is posturing forward is really hard because of the Fate's goal. So if you throw too much into that Ashe, gets pulled back, then Elk gets to stack his spears. He's sitting on a decent amount of gold, I'm pretty sure, because does have a nice amount of CS here. Only sitting on pot, boots, and a long sword. Maybe they don't want to go in too ham as Lehends on the ward here.
Of course, the poke going to be less effective as it's likely not the lethality Kalista, instead the on hit, but the sustain, the extended lane is going to be very tricky for the side of Gen.G to navigate, especially as Peyz does have some cookies to fill up that mana bar, but the relative sustain not super powerful yet.
Coming, Knight's on his way.
Oh, recall. Instant TP though, they want to protect this one, but Peyz again caught out here. The follow-up, Canyon on the way forward, they're looking for the spears, looking for the angle, on retreating now, but it's the AD carry caught. Shun is tanky, but the bot lane is not. Beautiful punish from Gen.G.
Gen.G learned from their mistakes in game number 2. Canyon is ready, Lehends arrives just in time, and a 3-for-0 for the Gen.G bot lane.
Such a heavy commitment from BLG. Elk even flashed with on in the ultimates to make sure that that engage could happen. But a really nice cleanse from Peyz is enough to buy time, and Canyon doing such a good job of reading the map. He knows what's coming. And I'll draw your attention to the minimap. Look at Canyon making his way as quickly as he can. A great cleanse. And then this flash from Elk is such a heavy commitment. A nice ultimate from Lehends connects onto Elk. They take him out first. And it's 3 kills for Gen.G.
Crucially, no level 6 there yet. A little bit of extra CC. Maybe they could have at least gotten the kill onto Peyz. Take away some of the sustain, but instead, really big win there for Gen.G. Kills going over to the Lehends. This time around might be a lot tankier than he was in the last game. And Canyon on this Nidalee, building his lead even further.
And it's only going to get more difficult for BLG to play out the earlier stages of this game. Canyon getting further and further ahead. Chovy's made it through some of the hardest parts of the lane already. In your bot lane, where you're supposed to have this massive advantage, the play completely whiffs. And now it might be Ben who's going to suffer on the top side of the map, diving at Jax. I can't imagine.
TP.
But here comes Elk. No face call. He's just going to try to turn on to Peyz in the meantime. Chovy on the way in. Misses the initial Q. Elk just trying to dance around it, but the damage is simply too much. Fate going to be sealed here. Soul Unbound back to finish the job.
And Chovy gets his first kill of the game as Gen.G's also trying to dive top lane. Knight's forced to TP defend. The mid lane has been completely abandoned as Yone is stealing away the Raptors to get something back for BLG.
That should be the grubs though, because Knight TP's in, doesn't actually get anything out of it and gets hit by an immediate spear. Bin also forced to flash. Might be a lot more grubs coming through. We do see Sean making his way over, but so is Lehends as Kiin might be walking to a trap here.
Walking forward, going unstoppable, gets the initial dash out, has the Q3. Knight committing, shockwave back, Bin instantly gonna fall with the ulti, and down goes Kiin.
Knight making sure that his presence is being felt in this game. Assists his top laner in securing that kill. Grub has been stolen by BLG. Canyon doesn't want to give this last one up.
He absolutely doesn't, but it might cost him his life. Good knockup coming in from Lehends. In the meantime, Peyz stepping up, the heal there. Knight gonna get rooted briefly. Not really much of a threat, but Shun gonna Q out over the wall. And Gen.G establishing control again around the mid lane.
Gen.G will get the grubs, but that kill still going to be big on Bin, one of your bigger side lane threats. Maybe a possible answer as we get later into the game into this Yone as well. Obviously does do a whole lot of autoing, and it's Knight turning a rough situation there around by him and Bin setting up a trap for Kiin.
I mean, he had to commit his flash to make the play happen, but at the end of the day, he gets Bin a kill. Trinity Force completed. Dragon now being started off by Canyon, but Shun doesn't want to give this one up for free. He's making his way back out, but Knight's going to be forced to catch that mid wave. And again, like we've seen many times in this series, it's Gen.G first to the objective.
Gen.G a step ahead, but BLG ready to try and bully their way in. Chovy there, though. 4 members of the team standing strong. And it's 5 grubs. It's a Drake. The stacking angle now gone for BLG if they want to try to rapidly do it. And Gen.G with almost a 3,000 gold lead.
It's really important to appreciate how difficult it is to face check a Nidalee and a Senna, right? Like, Gen.G are very good at being first on the objective, and while you do have a Sejuani that can act as a front line, it's so dangerous to face check this composition because of how quickly they can just execute a person.
Sven once famously said, if you have a mouse, you can dodge Nidalee sphere. The second part of that quote people don't appreciate is you have to be able to see it. Yeah. If she's in the bush, if you don't see it coming, it's just instant 100 to 0. And look, for now, it's a Hextech alternator, but Canyon has so much money. He is dangerously close to that first big item spike.
We also all know, walking in general, really the most OP skill in League of Legends. Chovy, though, that was a little bit of a dicey situation if they somehow did find a good angle for the fight. Gen.G did deny it, because Chovy was sitting on like 1,600 gold there. Now does have his Blade of the Ruined King finish. From this point on, the Yone is only going to become a bigger and bigger threat. And because of Knight's play towards the top side of the map, his forced TP hasn't been able to catch as many waves, leading to Chovy getting a pretty sizable lead in the 1v1.
I mean, look at how scared Knight has to play right now. He is hovering underneath this tower. He knows how easy it is for Chovy to just 100% commit. You know, you can just throw the ultimate out, the Q3, and with no flash or Orianna, you're just going to die. So he's forced to play on the defensive. He's going to go back to base, pick up his item as well, along with a control ward. So items coming through across the board now. Dragon still a ways off, but the Herald immediately being started off by Gen.G.
Overall, Gen.G, much firmer control. Game 1 felt like it was all about mitigating what BLG wanted to do. This time around, upping the pace themselves, really taking over. Again, 5 kills to 2. Now the Herald's going to drop as well, on top of the fact that they have 5 grubs. Easy push to break whatever tower they would like. Now a TP down to the bottom lane to cover here as Bin pushes in. Then the one factor that they may struggle with as we get later into the game, but for now, he's just focused on trying to take down the side lane objective, but Shun on the way down too. They might just want to go for the all-in. Immediate ulti coming up for Bin. He doesn't have the wave, but he might not need it. Good stun. Ksante going unstoppable though, and now the TP to follow. Bin trying to run. Good ulti to disengage away from Kiin, but the rest of Gen.G on the hut. Shun ready to offer that exit to his top laner. Now wants to turn the fight back with a stun. Not going to get a good death back coming in from Canyon. Chovy now out of the pit in the meantime. Playing the Rune King, keeping him nice and healthy. Q3 out. BLG, bit of a messy extended fight, and it's a double for Canyon.
In the last game, BLG was able to find these angles in the fight, single out targets one by one. This time, Gen.G not going to let them. Very ready. Triple teleport, or double teleport rather, coming through from both Chovy and Lehends to ensure that Kiin doesn't get taken out. And Ksante, if you're only there with a Jax and a Sejuani, it's going to take such a long time to go down this canyon.
Nice. Clutch sidestep from On. If that spear hits, he dies. Just continuing to run down.
Really nice footwork there from On. No chase down will come through though. As we take a look at the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, you can see Lehends at, well, I mean, okay, bot lane's a bit fake news.
Don't believe the headlines, guys.
Don't believe the headlines. But you know, I remember watching the last Canyon game, and I tweeted, is this really a Nidalee angle? And it was. And then in this game, I questioned, is it really a Nidalee angle? And the moral of the story is, I need to stop asking Canyon, when is it a Nidalee angle?
Yeah, he tells us when it's a Nidalee angle.
He tells us when it's the Nidalee angle.
In your defense, the last game he fell behind and then got funneled 3 shutdowns. So this game, a very different pace of Canyon Nidalee.
I swear, if this series is going to devolve into Shun and Canyon's like, I'm getting Nidalee. No, I'm getting Nidalee.
It's going to be Nidalee versus Kindred. That's what
You have to understand that as much as we try to script, as much as we try to create narratives mid lane, Knight versus Chovy, if anyone's going to take it into their own hands, it's Shun and Canyon, right?
I mean, I think the beauty of this Nidalee pick is that it's so hard for the Sejuani to just keep up the pace once the momentum gets going. Every time Shun has tried to do something, Canyon has just answered on the map. He has more farm than his top laner does. He's just been terrorizing BLG's jungle, and his mobility and clear is crazy. So huge credit to Canyon. He's dominating in terms of the early game. It's been a huge part of transitioning Gen.G from this early to mid game advantage. They have a very healthy gold lead right now, and they're going to set their sights on the dragon. And look at that mini-map. Canyon already in the position. They get the mid push. They have control of the bot. Gen.G with once again immaculate control around these neutrals.
And I think one of the big struggles for BLG is that Knight really cannot side lane. If he doesn't 100% know where Canyon is, he can never walk up to a wave. And frankly, even in the 1v1, Chovy heavily favored. The raw power of a pick like the Yone on a side lane is very menacing.
And we come back to that whole face-checking thing, right? Now you have to walk into this fog of war. Gen.G are doing a good job of still controlling the mid-wave. But the neutral objective is there. It's BLG. The best they can do is cross-map as Knight gets a tower in the top lane.
No other recourse there. Can't walk into this Gen.G comp. BLG is the best that they can get. But I do want to echo, and that's, I think, the biggest difference. Yes, Peyz and Lehends are in a much better spot than they were in last game, but Gen.G in the last 2 years, ever since Chovy joined, has really risen and fallen depending on what this player does. Last year at MSI, he wasn't able whatsoever to uphold the level. In game number 1, imagine a lot of Chovy fans were worried, maybe some flashbacks to some of his past performances. This time around, him having that consistent pressure and prio actually is a really big part because it enables the rest of Gen.G to play the way that they do.
And how often do we talk about a player as best in the world or potentially best in the world with the caveat that they've never made an international final?
Took about Knight like that for quite a while.
And then he won MSI. And now here we are in a best of 5 at MSI where Gen.G fans are scared of a repeat, and where BLG fans and Knight fans would be happy to see a run back.
They're looking for a pick. Chovy's been caught in side lanes before. There was a scary moment against top eSports where he got caught. But that will not happen, at least in this game, for now. I'm adding a lot of caveats there. He's not caught.
I like it, VEdi. Give me those caveats.
Sow the seeds of doubt. Guys, Canyon is not caught.
Well,
Still not caught.
Why would you do that? you want this to go the distance?
I'm just testing my caster curse, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Caster curses are not real good. We all know this. Yeah, they're not.
How's KT doing?
Okay, that wasn't me. Why are KT?
Chovy away, fade sealed. Chovy now going to be in trouble. Shut now trying to punish with a clean follow-up here. But 4 members are on the top side for Gen.G. BLG, though, looking for a bit of a tussle. The TP response. 1 member TPing in the midst of 3. Kiin now going to be able to walk away. That's the Ksante. Gives him the luxury to just back up. Spear going to connect onto a minion, and now Gen.G just fishing for these moments. Q3 from Chovy is good. Kiin getting shredded, but is able to back away.
A very tense moment as all 5 members gather in the top lane. The tower still stands, as far as I can tell, for BLG.
Peyz is very far up. Bin trying to look.
Peyz in trouble. Chovy ready to respond with the Q3. Peyz, though, taking a massive chunk. Good damage coming in from Chovy. Stolen bound. Bringing him back.
One of the things we haven't really talked about yet, but actually I think is a big factor in these elongated fights, is Gen.G already have an Ocean Drake, and they have both Senna and Nidalee. In these longer trades where you're just kind of trading poke, you're trading some hits left and right, the extra sustain actually makes a really big difference. And I haven't finished towards sustain, or Chovy also picks up a shield bow.
I just noticed as you were saying that, I looked at the items and he just went back to base, instant shield bow, completed.
2-item double lifesteal Yone is one of the most unfun champions to try to duel in the game. You cannot do any damage. He is essentially a drain tank in a 1v1. And in a team fight, he still has Q3, he still has ult, and a get out of jail free card in the E.
He'll either do Infinity Edge next, or he might go a little defensive, depending on his preference. We know that Chovy's had a number of Yone builds throughout his career.
He's been a Blade of the Rune King into Sunfire guy before.
Jack Show as well.
Thank you, Riot Balance Team, for taking that out of the equation.
Was there a Knight's Vow period too?
I don't know. Chovy, really, he was also the guy that was the best Ksante mid for quite a while. I
remember.
He loves tanks.
Guys,
always has.
Unrelated, but it's popped into my head now, and I have to say it. Are you, like, obligated from hold that thought? Flash out from Knight.
I mean, he has to, right? Because the root came through from Peyz, and now they start the Baron.
Baron, the commitment there. They're going to shred through this. Chovy does a lot of damage to the objective. Bin sprinting up to the objective.
How do they
Zoning
keep
coming in
out?
for Kiin. They can try to take the top laner down, but now Chovy looking for the pick. They know they have the angle. A confident flash over the wall. Chovy goes right back and keeps his sights on the objective. Clean, calm, collected from the side of Gen.G, but they want to collect a few more heads. Chovy sprinting forward. Q3 ready to go. Nice engage. They might lose one in the process, but Lehends is still standing. Chovy taking down on, just continuing to rain down auto attacks. Bin has the ulti, but he's forced to back away. Sean gonna get sent back to base in a body bag, and Gen.G again dominate the exchange.
Chovy comes up huge on the Yone. Immediately the flash from Knight is forced, and they're able to extend the fight from there. Bin not having TP means Gen.G can play way more aggressive, and the Baron about to fall.
BLG look like a very different team from game 1 to game 2. Some slight draft adaptations from Gen.G, and Knight, I don't think he's a bad Orianna, but I think Chovy's a very good Yone. No flash available on Knight means that he gets quickly collapsed. And with the numbers difference means that Gen.G know that they can force a fight. And look at this combo between Kiin and Chovy. Very nicely done. Tears the fight apart in favor of Gen.G, and they convert it into a Baron.
Not enough damage available. And it's that earlier route from Peyz that forced the flash from Knight, which means that Chovy can force a guaranteed connect with a stun with that flash right. And
that
hey,
Jack show.
Jack shows. It's gonna come through. But especially, like, imagine he is about to sit on a soul point for Ocean Soul. Nidalee and Senna as well. He is legitimately never gonna die. Like,
if he starts a fight by one-shotting Knight, he can build armor for the rest of the game, and no one is really going to be able to kill him for at least another couple items. Yes, Bin is supposed to be the scary threat. He finally has 2 items, but it might be too late. Gen.G are so far ahead in such a commanding position, and Knight cannot side lane against this Yone.
I mean, I think this game was determined when the bot lane dive was thwarted by Gen.G.
Yeah.
We saw something similar in game 1, but BLG were able to team fight their way back in. This time round, though, Canyon, with the lead that he had, has just absolutely dominated in the jungle matchup. And Gen.G have just snowballed through the objectives with their control, and BLG haven't found a fight. Could this be it?
TP, Chovy just fishing, trying to force down the objective. They've got Mites, they've got Baron buff, the empowered Canyon behind them. Cannon as well.
he is empowered.
He is very
10
empowered.
stacks.
403. My man's reading.
Well, not yet.
Well, not yet. No, it's a ring now. I don't know how it turns into a book. Ultimately, Gen.G in an excellent position. And again, we talk about how they needed to adapt. They've adapted wonderfully. The question is for BLG, they banned 5 champions from Chovy. They picked the 6th away in the Orianna, and still he found an angle. He found the Yone, and he's taken over this game. And in the meantime, Kiin is also split pushing. It's a tough nut for BLG to crack if we come into game 3 tied up.
I also love that, you know, we talk about the narrative, Knight versus Chovy, and in the last game, there's Chovy.
Ultimate seal not going to connect at all. Immediately forced to back away, and Bin's already there. Chovy now in trouble. The follow-up CC is there. The Q3 takes him nowhere. Chovy getting knocked down. BLG found a pick. They want to keep this going. Kiin's pushing in the top side, but it's a double stun from Bin. Bin now going to get locked up. Canyon taking down the Jacks. Canyon clutch when Gen.G need it most on. And Elk running for their lives. Canyon, though, getting lower and lower. The heal about to come through. The primal surge. Trap in the brush. Gen.G on the hunt. BLG running.
Look at Kiin! Kiin is ending the game in bot lane, while BLG are scrapping to try and get away from the fight. On then loses his life. Kiin is trying to end the game, but what an incredible fight. Lehends with an amazing 2-man knockup secures the fight, and Kiin is looking to just end the game.
Big thing there is Knight, obviously, is never going to cut through to Ksante. Sitting on only a Crypt Bloom. No way to win that 1v1 with the experience lead. And as a result, Gen.G, even though Chovy ends up going down, BLG have to invest so much. And it's a flip from the last game where BLG held off Gen.G's last-ditch effort, and now on it going down.
They know they have to extend the fight. Bin stepping up, gets the flash out. They want to take Kiin down. There's no big objective for them to transition this to, however, so it'll just be a kill. Bin needs to keep the play going. Bin, excuse me, Peyz, healed up by Canyon. Still standing for an extra moment. Bin just wants to finish the kill. Dashes forward, Lehends here, Canyon here, and Chovy as well. BLG forced to back off. They get a couple consolation prizes, but they effectively spent thousands of gold just to get that pick on Chovy.
You'll still take that because 2 inhibitors are now down. Getting any map pressure is going to be so hard. Gen.G might have to give up a bounty gold turret or 2, but that alone not going to be enough to release their grip on this game.
Then on the flank again, Lehends clearing what he can before he backs away. Objective bounty for the side of BLG.
I mean, it's a small break, I guess, for BLG as they're able to get some kills back, a bit of gold, but the deficit is still astronomical.
Right.
Canyon is still deathless in this game, and look, he's stealing more camps. He's just taking everything away from Shun. He's sitting on 3,000 gold, by the way. 3,000 gold unspent. We're gonna move past the initial fight that Gen.G ended up winning, and it becomes this chase down from BLG to try and get something back. A nice arrow connects onto Elk, which allows Bin to chase this down, get another kill. But really, it's just breadcrumbs as Gen.G still find themselves securing 2 inhibitors, so much control over the game, and a lot of money to spend.
For BLG, if there was a Baron up
Watch
there,
Canyon.
maybe that is enough.
That's Azonya's, straight.
Yeah, he was sitting on
Where's
that
the mesh
orb.
eyes though, Canyon? Maybe he feels he can't get more stacks? I don't know.
My man is preserving the KDA and the game. They haven't won yet, guys. Sometimes he only has, you know.
Well, Canyon has been in a position where he has a very large gold lead on Nidalee before.
See, remember when we talked about practicing our caster curses?
Kiin.
What did we say about practicing the caster curses? Chronicler, here comes Kiin. Elk now in trouble, cleanse out, but it does not matter. This Kalista is a dead man walking. And in the meantime, Bin now on retreat. The rest of BLG getting cut down. Gen.G just looking to close it out here. Dash forward from Kiin. Not quite able to find the ulti angle. Knight throwing the ball over the wall, but Gen.G just going to throw it right back. They are not scared. Canyon stepping up, making good use of the Zonyas. A bit of poke back to him, but Chovy already pushing into the mid lane. BLG one last desperate hold from the solo laners, and Chovy not gonna give him an angle. Immediate flash forward on the Fate Sealed. TP in, Gen.G striking back here in game 2, reminding BLG just how deep Chovy's champion pool is.
The experiment in game number 1 didn't end up working out. Gen.G regroup and bring us to 1-1, and one can only imagine what other surprises this series has in store. Gen.G, fight back.
I mean, I will say that when we think back to game 1, when Knight did get his Ahri, he just had so much more agency in the game. And I don't think that his Orianna is bad, but his ability to have the same impact is just, excuse my pun, it's night and day.
I'm just going to let that hang for a second, so if people want to roast you or laugh along with you, they can. And of course, in the meantime, if you're nostalgic for Heartsteel or new jeans from